You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts now.
All right, Black and White Sports supporters, we're going to talk about the Cleveland Browns, more specifically old Graybeard himself, the best story going in the NFL, and I hate that we're going to get robbed of Joe Flacco this weekend, but we are. He's going to sit because of playoff positioning that the Cleveland Browns have. However, if you're a Cleveland Browns fan, if you're a fan of what's been going on with Joe Flacco, I think if you're just a fan of the NFL, outside of, I guess, the Steelers or the Ravens or some extreme rival of, well, even if you're a Ravens fan, I guess to a point, you got to be sort of pulling, I guess, for Joe Flacco. He led you to a Super Bowl MVP. But this weekend is going to be very costly to a guy that has not made very much money this year. We know he signed a $2.5 million contract, a one-year deal, but that was way into the season, and Joe Flacco's money is coming from bonuses. Well, the fact that he's getting set this weekend because of the playoffs is costing Joe Flacco a boat ton of money. It really is. Very quickly, before we jump into that, let's just take a look at where we're at. Because as it stands now, Damar Hamlin, and I will tell you, Damar Hamlin's lead is starting to widen a little bit again, and I don't get this. Joe Flacco, Baker Mayfield are about ready to get screwed royally over this comeback player of the year. Damar Hamlin literally has showed up in 2 games and played like 4 or 5 snaps. Joe Flacco came off his couch, 4 straight victories, Cleveland Browns franchise in the playoffs. Now, could Baker Mayfield sort of flip the script this weekend? Yeah, if he goes out and throws 4 touchdowns and they run away with the NFC South, I guess Baker could start. He could, because he's had a bounce-back year, a big bounce-back year. The Saints gave him hell, and he tried to bring them back. He's got bad ribs. We'll have to see. But right now, it's a minus 310 for Damar Hamlin, a plus 250 on Joe Flacco, and a plus 1,000, and then Stafford's way back there. Way back there. So Flacco's made a couple of comments. He's also talking about the fact that he's old enough to be these guys' dads, and he's very self-aware of where he's sitting right now at his age. And we'll take a look at that. But let's look at what this game is going to end up costing Flacco. The Browns are locked into the number 5 seed and will travel to either Jacksonville, Indianapolis, or Houston for their wild card round matchup, and head coach Kevin Stefanski said he will sit key players in Week 18 at Cincinnati. That includes Joe Flacco, who's been the catalyst for the Browns' late-season push along their stellar defense. The decision to set Flacco will prove to be a costly one. For the Super Bowl MVP, Flacco signed a 1-year deal worth $2.5 million. Flacco's contract has incentives that pay him $75,000 for each Browns win in the regular season. So far, the quarterback has racked up to $300,000 over Cleveland's 4-game win streak, but he won't get a chance at more pocket change this week as the team gears up for the playoffs. Flacco can still rack up money if the Browns can pick up a win or multiple wins in the NFL playoffs. A win in the wild card game would net him $250K. The divisional round win would be $500,000. An AFC championship win would be $1 million, and a Super Bowl trophy, which would cap off like the greatest story. I mean, it would be insane. Would be worth an extra $2 million to Flacco. I got to tell you, I think Browns fans, I think if you're pulling for Flacco, everybody should bombard the Cleveland Browns Twitter page, X page, and say, hey, put Flacco in for 3 snaps, and then if the Browns win, he'll get his money. I mean, the dude has done the unthinkable. He has done the unthinkable. So, Flacco, a former Super Bowl MVP, has been humbled about his role in the Browns' unlikely turnaround since his arrival in early December. And this is pretty wild with him talking about the age difference between himself and these other guys. Aside from his first loss against the Rams, Flacco has led the Browns to 4 straight victories, completing 123 passes, 1,616 yards, and 13 touchdowns. The Browns clinched a playoff berth despite being hampered by injuries this season and entered Week 18 second in the AFC North. Quote, I think that doesn't always tell the story, Flacco said of his numbers when asked during the press conference Wednesday. It can give you an idea of what's going on, but it doesn't always tell the story. Listen, you got to give a ton of credit to just, first of all, the offensive line. I think the pockets, just the amount of space that I've had back there to be able to get through my reads and then do some extra. I think you have to give a ton of credit. I think you have to give a ton of credit to the wideouts. Amari Cooper, for sure. I think you've got to get a ton of credit to Kevin Stefanski. I mean, he's called pretty aggressive games. I would say over the last 6 weeks, I think it's made a little bit of a difference. So there's a lot of factors. I give Stefanski credit for this. He got Flacco and realized Flacco had that sniper rifle connected to his shoulder, and he just said, let's frickin' go. I mean, let's freaking go. He has just turned Flacco loose. Flacco is the Browns' 4th starting quarterback this season. Going into their latest matchup against the Jets, they were missing both first-team offensive tackles and 12 players, including Deshaun Watson. A lot of Cleveland fans are like, I'm glad we're missing him. And running back Nick Chubb. Man, can you imagine Nick Chubb on this team right now? His impact on this team is undeniable to everyone except maybe Flacco himself. Quote, it's tough to look at it this way. I mean, you can tell that people look at you, guys look at you a little bit differently just because of the fact that I've played. This is my 16th year that I've been in this league, and you can tell that guys look at you a little bit differently just because of that. I'll always say it, if I messed up in high school, I could be these kids' dads. There's something that they probably do look at me a little differently just because of that, to get a sense of what kind of impact, who knows. I'm just being myself. I'm trying to help them win games, and I think when you're yourself, that's the best chance you have to impact people, so hopefully I add something, and of course he does. I mean, he has jumped in here, and he has saved the Browns season, no doubt about it. He's outplayed Deshaun Watson. I mean, I don't even think it's that close. I mean, Watson had essentially 1.25, maybe 1.5 good games. I mean, Flacco's had 4 coming off the couch, and at this point, it kind of makes you $2.5 million versus $230 million fully guaranteed. If you just break it down to one season, $64 million dead cap money. I mean, Baker Mayfield and Joe Flacco both have sort of embarrassed organizations and general managers all over the league when it's come to evaluating quarterbacks and making decisions about quarterbacks. You got one making $4 million plus incentives, another making $2.5 million plus incentives, and you got Russell Wilson making all that money. You got Deshaun Watson making all that money, and it's sort of embarrassing. It really is. And hopefully, I've said, hopefully, something will wake up these evaluators in the NFL and have them take a step back, look at what they're doing with the quarterback position. I don't know if they need to lobby the PA for a way to additionally develop quarterbacks, whether it's allowing extra practice time to wideouts and to quarterbacks only so they can get on the field and just run routes, run reps, do all this other stuff. But figure out what they got in their second and their third and their practice squad guys. Because I know damn good and well, and you will not convince me otherwise, they are cutting quarterbacks that can play in the NFL and start in the NFL. Jake Browning's another one. You can tell that kid can play. As soon as he stepped on the field, you got 2 games in, you said, holy crap, this guy can play ball, But it's also indicative of as long as I get offensive line protection and I've got some weapons around me. Watch me go out and show my ass. I mean, that's a thing, even for good quarterbacks. Patrick Mahomes, perfect example. No wide receivers. I mean, he's come quite a bit back to the pack of quarterbacks in the league because of that. So, anyway, tell me what you think. I think it's interesting. I think it sucks that Flacco's about to lose $75,000, but I get why Stefanski is setting these guys, although I always worry about the let me set my starters, because then if they play in the wild card game or even like they don't start to the divisional round, team comes out flat. I mean, how many times have we seen a lower seed come into the playoffs hot, stay hot, and win the whole thing? I think the New York Giants did it twice, did they not? Think about that. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.